The British government is already proposing to raise the entry fee, if you will, the ETA, electronic authorization fee, that is introduced over a week ago. Now, originally it was going to be £13. Now, apparently, the government is going to try and raise it to £16. 10 was where it was set originally. Now it looks like it might be $16 or $19, $20. And passengers in transit through London, which is vastly, of course, important at Heathrow Airport, will be exempt. So this is the way it looks at the moment. But the reality is these ETA or ESTA fees are quite well known overall. And indeed, more and more travellers, and British travellers, are paying them when you go. For instance, let's take the United States. ESTA. Everybody knows about ESTA. It's been around years. Well, ESTA is $21 now to get an ESTA to visit the United States. The European Union fee will be around $7 for the EU equivalent. Expect that to rise. They've got enough problems just getting the thing through the door. And it's $44, it's somewhere along there, if you look at China. If you take the map overall, this is where it becomes significant in terms of the United Kingdom and the European Union. For travellers, the ESTA fee, if you will, is an inconvenience. But arguably, for Northern Ireland here, it spells real trouble. This is how the logic goes. The government there is worried the fee will discourage tourism. At the moment, if you are a tourist coming from the Republic of Ireland, no problem, no fee. But if you are coming from Germany, Sweden, the United States, anywhere else, and you're coming via Ireland, then you would have to pay the fee. You get the idea, because, of course, you'd be a third country. Conor Murphy is Northern Ireland's economy minister, and the minister is with me now. I see the argument, sir. I see the argument, but let's just take an American visitor. An American visitor coming, first of all, to the Republic is going to have to pay a fee there. And your problem is that they will then have to pay another fee when they come to Northern Ireland. Is that right?
Well, we are in the rather unique position that 70% of our international visitors actually who are coming to Northern Ireland actually come through Dublin. Because that is the airport with the most international travel. So for those who come to visit the island of Ireland, they can land and go around the island of Ireland. But if they go to cross the border into the British jurisdiction, then they have to pay an additional fee. And for many tour operators that I've spoken to in the United States and in other parts, they say that this is an additional burden, which means that some travellers may just opt to stay in the south of the border, in the south of Ireland, and not travel northwards. And of course, tourism and the growth in tourism has been a big part of our success story since the Good Friday Agreement and our international peace process. The worry is that this development in Britain will do damage to the potential of our tourism industry.
Right, but the principle of an ESTA and an ESTA fee is now well established across multiple jurisdictions. You're right, you raise a specific, unique situation for Northern Ireland. What would your preferred solution be?
Well, we asked the British government to consider the option. Firstly, not to introduce this. The British government tend to take decisions which affect us without any recourse to consultation with us. Brexit is a very clear idea where we opted to stay in the European Union. We were taken out against our wishes. But in relation to this, we asked them not to introduce this for tourists. We also asked them to consider a 7-day waiver in terms of people who are travelling into Ireland, travelling north of the border into Northern Ireland, and not travelling onwards to Britain. We put a number of practical solutions to the British government, and they have adopted some practical solutions in relation to other matters of interest to them in this area, but they haven't acceded to our requests, and we are very concerned that it will do real damage to our tourism industry.
Let's say, is it really that much of a big deal, an extra $15 or so on a trip? If you're spending thousands on a holiday, and I mean, let's face it, a pint of beer, a round of drinks for you and your family will cost more than the ESTA fee.
Well, it's the implications of people who haven't filled it in, who find themselves on the other side of the border. I mean, you can go if you travel into the south of Ireland, if you go from Dublin to Donegal, which remains within the southern jurisdiction, you could cross the border 3 or 4 times to make that one journey. So people may inadvertently find themselves on the wrong side of the border. There's no hard barrier on our border. There's no real defining marks to say whether people have crossed or haven't crossed. But particularly for tour operators, who then the burden of responsibility falls on them to ensure that everybody that they're taking in their coach across the border has this procedure resolved and filled in, and that places an additional burden, which may mean they opt not just simply to cross the border and stay in the southern jurisdiction.
I understand it. I'm grateful to you, sir. We'll talk more as this comes in. Believe me, sir, as I'm sure you're aware, there'll be many more problems before this thing's fully up and running in any degree of success, both in the EU and the UK. I'm grateful to you, sir. Thank you.